Welcome back to episode 6 of 30 by 30 by SUALVI. Today's title is gonna be this title, so let me show you. It's a sort of like, I don't know, weird pill type of title. But alright, let's get right into it. Let's try to make it less than 10 minutes like yesterday. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create a fusion composition. We're gonna go in it. And for this title, what we need is to create a background node. And then we're gonna create a mask for it. And then with this selected, we're gonna create our text node. And then we can see everything here. So the first thing to do is gonna be take the solid out of our mask. And then we're gonna make the border width a little bit bigger so we can see it. That's good. And then we're gonna shape it like a rectangle. Like we can resize it the way that we want that, depending on our screen size and all that, and how big we wanted it to be. And then that's ready. So then we're gonna go and add our text. Let's just put main in this for this tutorial's sake. And let's go to liked. This part is just whatever you want, you know. Now we can make it a little bit like that. Okay, so then we have that part ready. The next thing that we need to do is to create a transform node. And then we can move everything. I mean, we can like adjust everything like at once. Well, I'm not seeing it because I didn't select it. You see? Okay, so for the first part, that's pretty much it. We can animate this part and then we can just copy and paste the other one, you know? So we're gonna select, we're gonna select these two and we're gonna move it there, try to move it to the middle and do the same with the text, leave it aligned. And then we can make sure that's in the middle by selecting the transform node. So the first thing that we need to do is to change the size, to animate the size. So the first thing we're gonna do that is by going here and creating a keyframe for where we wanted it to end. Let's end it at 21. So we're gonna create a size and we're gonna create an angle for this. And then we're gonna go, let's go back to let's go back 9 frames. We're gonna put the size to 0 and we're gonna put the angle to minus, let's say minus 190. So then we have that part ready. Then the next thing is to create the little jump that we had. So we're gonna go like, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna change the angle a little bit. So we're gonna go this way. We can hold on Control so it doesn't move that much. And then we're gonna go 2 frames or 3 frames and bring it back to 0. So let's see how that looks. See that the jump is already pretty good looking there. So the next thing that we want to do is go to the little jump that it does and go to the rectangle, and we're gonna create a mask, not a mask, I mean a keyframe for the corner radius. Now we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So when it's 4, it changes to that pale looking thing. And the next thing that we need to do, that's pretty much the whole animation. So we're gonna copy this. We're gonna create a copy of this. But for this, we're gonna have to adjust a few little things for this. So let's create a keyframe. We're gonna create a merger for each of those. And I'll show you why we're gonna have a couple mergers. And we're gonna go here. And then we're gonna create a merger for this. and we're gonna connect that to this one. And I will show you why in a little bit. But first we're gonna animate that. We're gonna put the things in the place that they need to be. So this pill is gonna go right here. Actually, I did the opposite. They start as a little pill and then they become square. So we're gonna go and do the opposite here. So we're gonna turn these into corner radius at 1 and then put that at 0. And we're gonna go back to this rectangle and fix that. There. And then we forgot we have to move the text. And we're gonna put title. Then for this transform, the keyframes, because right now it's a little bit too rigid. So what we wanted to do is to have one of the pills animate in a different way. So what we are going to do is go to whichever you want actually, but we're gonna go to the one in the left and we're gonna change the angle animation so it doesn't start at 190. Oh, we're gonna go to the second one and change the animation to start, let's say 2 something. So then it looks like this one is rotating a lot more than the other one. Okay, so then the next thing that we need is to make this little thing invisible right in the middle, so they are, I guess you could say, joined together, so we don't see the separation. But you don't have to do that. That's just it depends if you want it to look separated or not. So for that, we're gonna go to the merge, and the reason why we created this merge is because in the merge nodes, one of the things always goes to the foreground and one of the things go to the background. So if we had both of these in the same merge, the rectangle mask was only gonna work on the foreground. It doesn't affect the background. So for this one, let's see. Oh, and I forgot. So we have to change these from background to foreground. And we need to create a new background and make that the background of this merger. So then we're gonna go here and make it to alpha, and then we can see that. So once we go here, you see if we invert it, we're not gonna be able to see it. So we're gonna invert it. We're gonna make it little. We're gonna adjust it to the size of this little line in the middle, and we're gonna make it smaller like that. So let's bring that to the middle. Like that, and then make that a little bit so the line goes the right way. Okay, so then we're gonna go to the keyframe where the jump ends. So that's in the transform node, and select that there. So the rectangle, we're gonna create a keyframe for that there. The height. And then we're gonna go to the transform node and see where the jump starts. Actually, no, we're gonna go 1 frame, and we're gonna go to the height to 0. So then when we copy these and put it into this merge, this is foreground also. There. We have to connect these 2 mergers also. And then we have that. And then when we want it to end, let's go to frame 55. And for the end, what we did was we adjusted we first took that little mask out. So we're gonna create a keyframe in both of them. And we're gonna go 1, 2, make it 0 again. And then what we did also was to go back to the rectangle and make that, instead of straight again, we made the corner radius animated again. So we make the pills. we're gonna go 2 frames or 3 frames, and then we're gonna create it. So same for these other one. I'm gonna create that keyframe there, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna make it 0. So once it will go back to that pill shape. And the next thing that we did was, after that pill shape was done, I readjusted the size of it. So for that, I did just turn that height and width to 0. So we're gonna create a keyframe for these here. And we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. And we're gonna turn it to 0. Same thing for this rectangle. And the next step is to animate the text at the same time of that. So for that, we'll just go here to the text and size, and then go 5 frames and make it 0. We're gonna do the same thing for this text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when the animation starts. And then we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it goes. So then once it renders, that's the animation pretty much. We can also add motion blurs to these. If you want it to look a little bit smoother, we're just gonna go and add the motion blur to the transform node. Again. And we can add the rectangle too, although the only real animation of the rectangles are that corner radius animation. I'm gonna make it 100, so it's not that blurry. If we leave it really high, you will be able to see like a sort of like a ghost image, and it will be like too blurry. And another thing that we can do to make it look smoother is we're gonna go to the spline tool. We're gonna select all of these, and then we're gonna zoom out, and we're gonna select all and press F. So we'll ease in and ease out. So then when we go back to our composition, let's see how that looks. So once it renders out, then that should be it. And that's it for today's video. So I will see you tomorrow in the next video, and I hope that this video was helpful. And as always, you can find the link in the description to download this Fusion project. And I will see you tomorrow in the next episode of 30 by 30 by SUALVI. Peace.